What's good, RIZZLE fam? It's your boy Big Man. Over 13 shots hit the black BMW that night in Vegas when Suge Knight and Tupac left the boxing match. 6 days later, one of the greatest rappers alive was no longer with us. 6 months later, one of the biggest East Coast rappers ever, Biggie Smalls, suffered a similar fate, but in LA and in 1997. To this very day, a shroud of mystery surrounds the death of both Tupac and his nemesis, Biggie. These murders were never officially solved. However, Suge Knight, the former Death Row Records CEO, finally spoke out from behind bars and gave out some information that could point in the right direction.
Trouble-plagued rapper and actor Tupac Shakur is dead at the age of 25, just about a week after sustaining 4 bullet wounds last Saturday night in Las Vegas.
To understand the story of Biggie Smalls and Tupac and how their rivalry ended, there's a certain context that requires explanation. First comes the rivalry between the East and the West that we saw unfold in the 1990s, and then comes the role of Suge Knight. The rivalry between East Coast and West Coast hip-hop communities emerged in the early 1990s and escalated throughout the decade. The rivalry was largely fueled by record labels and the media, who pitted artists from the two coasts against each other in an effort to boost sales and ratings. However, the feud between the two sides was also fueled by personal animosity between some of the artists and their associates. Such was the case with Tupac and Biggie. You see, the rivalry between East Coast and West Coast hip-hop communities was a defining feature of the genre in the 1990s. This feud reached its peak in the mid-1990s with the tragic deaths of Tupac and the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls. One of the key figures in the West Coast scene at the time was Marion Suge Knight, who co-founded Death Row Records, one of the most successful and influential hip-hop record labels of the decade. Knight was known for his aggressive business tactics and his association with gang members and other criminals. However, his role in the feud was also controversial, as he was involved in several high-profile incidents of violence that contributed to the negative perception of hip-hop in the mainstream media. Suge Knight, the co-founder of Death Row Records, has a notorious reputation in the hip-hop industry due to his criminal past and alleged involvement in the murders of the two biggest names in rap history, Tupac and notorious B.I.G. Suge was previously involved in the LA gang scene, founded Death Row Records in 1991 with Dr. Dre, and the label quickly became one of the most successful in the industry. However, his criminal past soon caught up with him. He was repeatedly arrested and charged with crimes ranging from assault to racketeering. In 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot and killed in Las Vegas, and rumors immediately began to circulate that Suge was somehow involved in the murder. Tupac himself had accused Suge of being involved in a plot to kill him, and some people believe that Knight may have orchestrated the shooting as a part of a larger feud between East and West Coast rappers. The following year, notorious B.I.G. was also killed in a drive-by shooting in LA. And once again, Suge Knight was rumored to have been involved in the murder. Not only did B.I.G. and Tupac have long-standing feud, but Suge had also reportedly threatened B.I.G. in the past. Naturally, Suge had denied any involvement in the murders, but many people remain skeptical even to this day. Some have pointed to the history of violence and intimidation as evidence that he may have played a role in the deaths of both Tupac and Biggie. Additionally, his close relationship with both rappers has led to some speculation that he may have had hands in their death. Furthermore, records have also circulated about Knight's alleged mistreatment of Tupac while he was on Death Row Records. Some have claimed that Tupac only signed with Death Row because Knight paid his $3 million bail, and that he was unhappy with the way that he was being treated by Suge on the label. Suge Knight's past and alleged involvement in the deaths of Tupac and notorious B.I.G. have made him one of the most controversial figures in the history of hip-hop. While Knight has denied any involvement in the murders, his reputation for violence and intimidation has left many people skeptical, and the rumors about his mistreatment of Tupac may have only added to his infamy. Pac and Biggie had a complex and often contentious relationship. They often had a friendly relationship and even collaborated on a few songs. However, their relationship soured over time, particularly after Tupac was shot multiple times in a 1994 robbery that he believed was orchestrated by Biggie and other East Coast rappers. In 1993, Tupac was in New York filming the movie Above the Rim when he was introduced to Biggie, who was also an up-and-coming rapper at the time, by their mutual friend and collaborator, DJ Mr. C. The two artists quickly hit it off and began collabing on music. Tupac also met a notorious gangster and music industry figure named Jacques Haitian Jack Agnew, who was allegedly trying to extort money from New York music producers and get Tupac to sign with Bad Boy Records. Tupac was initially wary of Haitian Jack, but later became friends with him, and even mentioned him in his music. In November 1994, Tupac was invited to record at the Quad Recording Studio in New York. While there, he was ambushed and shot multiple times in a robbery attempt. Tupac survived the shooting, but believed that Biggie and Sean Puffy Combs, the head of Bad Boy Records had orchestrated the attack. This belief fueled Tupac's increasing hostility towards East Coast rappers. The shooting also had a profound impact on Tupac's music and persona, as he began to embrace a more confrontational and aggressive style. After Tupac's shooting at the Quad recording studio, he became increasingly convinced that Biggie and Puffy were involved in the attack. He confronted both of them at a party and accused them of knowing about the attack beforehand. This confrontation caused a deep rift between Tupac and Biggie and contributed to the escalating violence between East Coast and West Coast rappers in the mid-1990s. Tupac's anger and suspicion toward Biggie would continue to grow over the next few years, eventually leading to the tragic events of September 1996 when Tupac was fatally shot in Las Vegas. In 2011, James "Jimmy" Henchman Rosemond, a former music industry exec, was arrested and charged with ordering the 1994 shooting of Tupac. According to testimony from Henchman's associates, he paid the men who carried out the shooting and gave them instructions to make it look like a robbery. The identity of the shooter has never been conclusively determined, but many believe that it was Orlando Anderson, a member of a Crips gang. Henchman is currently serving a life sentence for multiple drug trafficking and murder charges. The revelation of Henchman's involvement in Tupac's shooting provided some closure for fans and investigators, but also raised new questions about the role of various individuals and organizations in the coastal beef. In particular, Suge Knight was the one who believed that something wasn't right in the official story that was provided to the public. He believed there was something more going on behind the curtains. In a prison interview with Michael Carlin, Suge Knight revealed new information about the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. He admitted that Orlando Anderson was not the one who shot Tupac, which contradicts the long-standing belief that Anderson was responsible for the rapper's death. That's why Detective Greg Cadden, the LAPD officer assigned to solve the homicides of Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur, who did an AMA on Reddit and spoke about this topic about 5 years ago, went on to say, "I don't think, I know. Tupac was shot and killed by Orlando Anderson. There were at least 4 other co-conspirators." According to Suge, the involvement of the LAPD and Reggie Wright, a former Death Row Records security chief, in the cases of both Tupac and Biggie plays a major role. The hit on Pac was planned way ahead, and some highly skilled people were orchestrating the whole damn thing.
See, the thing is, those guys, if you go back and watch the film, they was already stalking Pac, like watching him. So that just tipped the iceberg when something happened. But there was a plan already to do something to him.
Suge specifically told the former security chief to send guys out who would protect Pac, but that never happened. Reggie Wright refused to listen because he was in on the deal. Suge told us,
"Like I said, I had 2 of the toughest guys for him, and Reggie pulled them off of me. It didn't have to happen. I told him to send 5 guys from the club to there, and they never said nobody. Later, he told us at the streets. They told him to do it, you know."
Moreover, Reggie has always denied knowing, employing, or associating with the police officers David Mack or Rafael Perez, who were both linked to Death Row Records and the murder of Tupac. Rafael Ray Perez and David Mack were former LAPD officers who were hired as a bodyguard for Death Row Records during the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap feud. During the interview, Suge confirmed that Reggie and Perez were friends and that they were crucial players behind the hit on Pac. Fans online did not hide their disappointment. This goes deeper than just music. The fact that they knew a crime was going to happen and fell back was absolutely disgusting and criminal. That's not all. According to Suge, the same circle of people were involved in both the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. Suge Knight did not mention any specific names, but he suggested that there was a larger conspiracy at play, involving individuals who had close connections to both rappers. Suge's theory was that both Tupac and Biggie were targeted because of their perceived alliances with one another. The specific individuals responsible for the murders, however, were never definitively identified. The detective in both these cases thinks otherwise. If you ask him, Biggie's murder is different. Biggie was hit as a result of retaliation for Pac. It was Suge who hired a gang member named Wardell Poochie Foose to take Biggie out. In the end, the comment made by Suge shed new light on the cases of Tupac and Biggie and added fuel to the long-running conspiracy theories surrounding their deaths. Many people have questioned the official narrative and believe that there's more to the story than what have been publicly disclosed. But what do you think is the official story? And was Suge Knight on the right path to figuring out what really happened to Biggie and Pac? Let us know all about it in the comments section below. If you liked this video, click that like button and subscribe to our channel for more hip-hop related content. And as always, remember to keep it RIZZLE.